Israel continues to pound Lebanon.
What you see right behind me is an apartment which was believed to be the residence of Hezbollah top-ranking officer, and the Israeli Air Force carried out a strike and destroyed this entire apartment.
Hezbollah targets bombarded in Syria. Netanyahu confirms Safieddine is dead.
We took out thousands of terrorists, including Nasrallah himself, and Nasrallah's replacement, and the replacement of his replacement.
India today reports from 2 war zones.
As far as Israel is concerned, it's pursuing one policy, and that policy is to push the Hezbollah back as much as possible, to degrade Hezbollah's war-fighting capabilities, especially close to areas of northern Israel.
All those displaced people, when could not find any place to stay, they have just managed the space in this one of the famous nightclubs of the Gulf.
Ceasefire or escalation next? Israel at war.
Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast that comes to you from Jerusalem. I'm Gaurav Sawant. This is a day when Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has had a long conversation with American President Joe Biden and with America's Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, the situation here in West Asia is extremely precarious. Even as we speak, Israeli Air Force fighter jets are relentlessly pounding Hezbollah strongholds, not just in southern Lebanon, but also almost across the territory. Israel has also pounded strongholds of Hezbollah and their backers all the way in Damascus in Syria. There's a wider apprehension that this conflict could escalate amidst conversations that Israel is now preparing the final blueprint, just putting the nuts and bolts together on its attack when it comes to Iran. Last week, it was last Tuesday, that Iran had hit Israel. 180 plus ballistic missiles had targeted Israel, and now all eyes on retaliatory strikes. Now, the biggest story at this point of time is US President Joe Biden has dialed Jerusalem. He's spoken to Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This was a 50-minute long conversation between the Prime Minister of Israel and the President of the United States of America, amidst reports that the two had not been on talking terms for the past 50 days, amidst conversations that America did not want Israel to escalate this conflict or target the nuclear infrastructure in Iran or even the oil infrastructure. But Israel is firm, it will target. There is no question of not targeting Iran. The question remains, what are those targets that Israel will acquire? And there were many conversations about US and Israel sitting together to work out those targets. Military targets, especially the military defense infrastructure in Iran, their war-fighting capabilities, their missile manufacturing capabilities, their shipbuilding capabilities, and also the bigger question remains whether command and control structure or things associated with the leadership would be targeted. And the biggest question right now, is there a massive escalation on the cards here in West Asia? Because even as we speak about this, the other big story we're tracking here on India Today is Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu threatening Iran. He has warned Iran that the days of the regime in Iran are numbered. He's reached out to the people of Iran saying that their freedom is now on the cards. Netanyahu has said, we will not let Iran destroy us. This is a war of the free world against Iran, and it's Israel that's at the forefront of this war that the free world is waging against Iran. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Ashutosh Mishra, who joins us from Beirut in Lebanon, which has been in the line of the Israeli fire. And given the conversations that are happening between US President Joe Biden and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli Prime Minister's threat to Iran, it does appear that a major escalation is on the horizon. Ashutosh.
Well, Gaurav, every time we have seen there is a response from Iran or offensive from Iran, the Israel has retaliated. And it is very well known that what had happened, the nearly 200 these ballistic missiles fired by Iran, the Israel did say we will respond. Of course, it will choose the day and the time. And that perhaps also raising a concern for even the United States, which is going for the presidential election soon. So perhaps America doesn't want at this moment the region to escalate further if Israel retaliates in a similar way like it did in past responding to Iran's offensive. So clearly on that, America for now wants peace in the region. But looking at the Israel's, the way of response, it has said that it will respond to Iran. What will be the time when it will respond? So clearly on that looks like one attempt being made by United States to let the region be in peace. But is it in peace? We are already seeing the Hezbollah as we speak. Just 30 minutes ago in Dahia, right behind me, Gaurav, is Dahia, where 30 minutes ago 2 major strikes did happen. Nabi Yunus, in the afternoon when I was covering, I had 2 major strikes happen in Nabi Yunus. Now there is another, the major development is coming from the Lebanese media that near the coast of Tyre, which is near the Avali River, the local media report says there were enemy warship has been detected off the coast of Tyre. So clearly what looks like there are another 24 to 40 hours, which is going to be critical, that the Israeli Navy is also going to escalate its offensive from the coastal line of Mediterranean in the southern Lebanon. So going by all these developments that is unfolding, America perhaps want the situation to cool down at least till the presidential election completed in the United States.
The effort of the United States, according to some commentators, is keep the war restricted to targeting Hezbollah. There are many in Israel who also argue initially the need is first to decimate the Hamas. It's been on for about a year plus, but still Hamas retains the capability to strike back at Israel like it did even today when multiple rockets were fired in the direction of Israel. Of course, most were neutralized, but even Hezbollah continues to target Israel, and we'll talk about that in greater detail. But there's more breaking news that's coming in, and this time there's a threat that has come directly from Iran to Israel in response to Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu threatening Israel with consequences. The chief advisor to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has spoken out. He said Iran retains the capability and the capacity to strike back even harder. Iran maintains that its initial strike of 181 plus ballistic missiles on Israel were aimed purely at military targets, and that was only to tell not just Israel but the entire world that they have the capacity to strike not just in border areas but deep inside Israel, including close to Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. No part of Israel is safe from Iranian missiles, but the next time, should there be a retaliation from Israel, the strike back from Iran will be exemplary, it will be punitive, and it will be for effect. Listen in to voices that are coming in. The chief advisor of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Incidentally, it is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps that may well be on Israel's targets in the days and weeks ahead.
القاءات برخی و فضاسازی‌ها و ایجاد رعب توسط رسانه‌های استکباری جنگی در کار نیست. این رو یقین داشته باشید. امکان داره برای اینکه یه ذره موقعیت خودش رو حفظ کنه مثلا بخواد یه نقطه رو بزنه. من الان اینجا دارم عرض میکنم اگر یک نقطه از کشور ما رو بزنید 10 نقطه مراکز امنیتی نظامی و اختصاصی رو خواهیم زد و جوابتون رو قاطع خواهیم داد.
So while the war with Iran is on the horizon, what's happening right now is intensification of Israel's operations against the Hezbollah. And these operations are a multi-pronged offensive from air, from sea, also from land. And land offensive has now intensified in many which ways. If you look at the land offensive, the 202nd Battalion, it's a parachute battalion here in Israel, that's made deeper inroads into southern Lebanon. They've carried out a series of strikes inside Lebanon. They've targeted the Hezbollah. There's been close quarter combat in which one young army captain in Israel made the supreme sacrifice of his life. But they've decimated several strongholds of the Hezbollah, especially all along the southern Lebanon and northern Israel belt. That's their aim, to move forward inch by inch all the way to create a 30-kilometer barrier till the Litani River. But the warning that went out today was to create a barrier all the way up to the Awali River, which is much further, where all civilians in Lebanon have been asked to move even north of the Awali River. We get you more. Ashutosh Mishra and Ashraf Wani with this report.
Israel strikes Iran's proxies in Lebanon, Gaza and Syria. An Israeli rocket struck a residential building in Damascus, killing over 7 people. The strike demolished 3 floors of the building in the Mazeh neighborhood of the Syrian capital. The debris covered the surrounding areas, crushing several cars. Meanwhile, Israel is bombing southern Lebanon relentlessly. We struck the intelligence compound in Beirut in Al-Daya neighborhood. This is the command center of the head of intelligence, Abu Abdullah Murtada, and we know that Hashem Safieddine was with him. The results of these strikes are being checked. Hezbollah is trying to conceal information. We will know and update the public. Israeli claim that its strike over the past 24 hours have killed 50 Hezbollah fighters, including 6 senior commanders.
What you see right behind me is an apartment which was believed to be the residence of a Hezbollah top-ranking officer, and the Israeli Air Force carried out a strike and destroyed this entire apartment. All you see right behind me is the footprints. This entire structure was badly demolished. There is a fear and there is a trauma, there is a concern, including in the civilians, after they're not sure where the bombing will take place next. This was believed to be one of the top ranking from the Hezbollah, and after the airstrike, most of these people left, and this leaving premises deserted. This is the south suburban of Beirut, and India today is at ground zero.
In an address to the citizens of Lebanon, Netanyahu said the Iran-backed Hezbollah was now weaker than it's been for many years after the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah. He claimed Israel had killed Nasrallah's likely successor, Hashem Safieddine, as well as Safieddine's presumptive replacement.
Hezbollah has turned Lebanon into a stockpile of ammunition and weapons and a forward Iranian military base. We've degraded Hezbollah's capabilities. We took out thousands of terrorists, including Nasrallah himself, and Nasrallah's replacement, and the replacement of his replacement. Today, Hezbollah is weaker than it's been for many years.
Hezbollah's deputy leader, Naim Qasim, said the Iran-backed group's capabilities were intact and its fighters were pushing back Israeli ground incursions. Iran has provided clear and well-known support for the resistance in Palestine, Lebanon and the region. And this is what it is proud of. It is an honor and dignity for Iran that it is helping the Palestinians to regain their rights. The conflict in Lebanon has escalated dramatically in the recent weeks as Israel has carried out a string of assassinations of top Hezbollah leaders and launched ground operations into southern Lebanon that expanded further this week.
If 4 military divisions are at the southern Lebanon border, shallow raids are being carried out inch by inch. The Israeli army is moving forward. They have a plan, and their plan is use their airstrikes to completely pulverize the strongholds of the Hezbollah. First, their aim was just the Litani River. Now, information that's coming in, they've sent out messages that people should move north of the Awali River in Lebanon, which means a larger area is now being cleared for airstrikes and missile strikes so that Hezbollah strongholds can be removed from southern Lebanon and a buffer zone can be created.
With Gaurav Sawant in Haifa and Ashutosh in Beirut, Bureau Report, India Today.
And just as I started anchoring here in Jerusalem, a group of young students, college students, and young Israelis, they joined me, and they were singing very, very nice patriotic songs about Israel. Tell me, what were you singing?
We sing Am Israel Chai because we love Israel and we think the Jews will always be alive and will always win.
Okay, so tell me, what were you singing? Sing that.
Am Israel Chai, Am Israel Chai, Am Israel, Am Israel, Am Israel Chai, Am Israel Chai. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai, Od Am Israel, Am Israel Chai, Am Israel, Am Israel, Am Israel Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Am Israel.
Now, for the benefit of our viewers, who don't understand the language, you'll have to translate that for me in English.
Am Israel is the Jewish, we alive. This
You're
is what
alive.
we're saying. We song that Israel is alive, Jewish is alive.
Even
We are alive.
Everything we pass and the people who try to kill us, we are alive and we are here no matter what happened.
Absolutely brilliant. Okay, and what else were you going to say? You were saying something to me when I just started anchoring. Say it.
What? I can say something. Okay. I want to say that Israel, the specialist about us is that we stick together in the hard time we're having, even in the war and even in the 7th at October. We always stick together and we always there for each other. That's why we win. And we have Hashem. That's why we win. We have God.
Woo!
Woo!
All right. Young ladies, thank you very much. Bravo. So,
Thank you so much. Thank you
not
so
at all.
much.
Yeah.
We love India. We love India. We love India.
We love all the Jews that traveling in India. We are loving you so much.
Israelis, we miss you. Come back.
Come back, please.
So, this was, thank you very much. Very nice to have you on the broadcast. A group of young people, just when I started anchoring, they started singing and said they wanted to be a part of the India Today special broadcast. India Today's Ashraf Vani is also on ground zero, and he sent us this report.
I'm currently in one of the world's famous nightclubs, that is Sky Bar, here in the Beirut. Once upon a time, people from different parts of the world came here on the beaches of Beirut for New Year celebrations and other parties. This whole nightclub was so much popular in the Beirut city that even the people were getting the passes for their entry after hours and days. Now you can see, after the war between the Israel and the Lebanon, this nightclub has been changed into a refuge home. Now only one family, but also there are different blocks everywhere you can see, and each block is so far temporary home for a family. Ashraf Vani for India Today, inside Sky Bar.
And I quickly want to cut across once again to Beirut, where Mohammad Hassan Safieddine, who is a political researcher, joins us on this broadcast. Mohammad Hassan Safieddine, is Hezbollah in a position to strike back, or after the killing of Hassan Nasrallah and a number of other leaders and constant Israeli airstrikes and ground strikes, how is the Hezbollah ability to strike back right now?
Well, I think you can find the answer in the video just published by Hezbollah a couple of minutes ago, which shows several targets inside of the city of Haifa. This is a message during the war that, yeah, Hezbollah has the capabilities, has the courage, and has everything it needs to move over until defeating the enemy. Today, it's not a war of choice. It's a war of no choice. Hezbollah doesn't have a choice other than to resist the enemy, other than supporting the front of Gaza, other than supporting the resistance front in the region. What we are really fighting for between Israel and Hezbollah is for a new regional project between the project of the resistance groups with Iran and the other projects about imperialism with Israel. So it's two projects. Till now, well, what it seems, what you can
you
read
see an
inside of
escalation
Israeli
happen?
newspapers,
You
what
see
you
an
can read in the
escalation
US.
happen in the times to come? Okay, given the
Yeah, of
fact
course,
that now
escalation.
there is some talk about Israel targeting Iran directly, will that weaken Iran's ability to provide replenishments of the rockets and the missiles or even fighters to the Hezbollah? There is some conversation that retired Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commanders have had to come after the killing of multiple Hezbollah leaders.
Well, let's see how killing multiple Hezbollah leaders and having thousands of bombs in Lebanon affected the war. What happened after more than 2 weeks is that the resistance in Lebanon, Hezbollah in Lebanon, just started the escalation. So what they announced today with the videos that they are starting a new phase of escalation. So whatever happened before didn't affect the next phase. I think whatever decision Israel has over Iran, whether hitting it or not, what any decision it takes is going to have an effect about escalation in the region. Hitting Iran, I think, of course, will affect Iran's abilities, but it will lead to an escalation of no choice. That's what's happening in Lebanon today. The important thing is that everything achieved till today is huge tactical benefits for Israel. But the problem is that they haven't been able till today to turn these tactical successes to strategic successes, and that's what we have seen till now.
Fair enough.
Hezbollah has been escalating using the rockets, and Hezbollah has been able to get the Israelis pay a lot in land, and that's the important thing. That's the strategic success.
We'll keep tracking that story very closely. Clearly, this war is all set to escalate on multiple fronts. Mr. Safieddine, for joining me here on India Today. Many thanks. I have breaking news that's coming in, and that's a big story when it comes to Indian Defence Modernization Initiative on this special broadcast from Jerusalem. Let me actually get you a big story that's coming in from India, where one of the biggest defence deals has been cleared. India and the United States of America have inked a deal for worth $3.1 billion, and this is a drone for the MQ-9 Reaper drone. Now, MQ-9 Reapers are long-range reconnaissance and combat aircraft. These are UCAVs, unmanned combat aerial vehicles, and the Reaper drone is one of the deadliest drones in history. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Manjeet Singh Negi joining us for more on this. Apparently, funds have also been cleared for 2 nuclear submarines in India. Manjeet brings us all the details. Manjeet, bring us details. That's a huge development that's taking place in India's maritime modernization.
Well, Gaurav, definitely this is the biggest defense deal, and the Cabinet Committee on Security, headed by Prime Minister Modi, today cleared the two major deals, buying 31 Predator drone and nuclear submarine for Indian Navy. The central government cleared the deal of 31 Predator drones and 2 nuclear-powered submarine at the high-level meeting today. The 2 nuclear submarine would be built indigenously, while the 31 Predator drones will come from United States. The deal for building the 2 submarine at shipbuilding center in Visakhapatnam will be over 40,000 crore and will see major involvement in private sector. The other major deal cleared today by the Cabinet Committee on Security for the acquisition of the 31 Predator drone from American General Atomics under the foreign military sales contract between the 2 countries. The deal had to be cleared in October 31st, as the American proposal was still at that time, and now it's going to be signed in the next few days. As per the contract, the defense forces will start getting drones over 4 years after signing the deal.
This is absolutely marvelous. India Today's Manjeet Singh Negi breaking that big story on India Today. On India First, a major development when it comes to India's defense modernization. Manjeet and his team will continue to get us the latest on this big story. But that is all I have for you on this India Today special broadcast that comes to you from Jerusalem in Israel. Many thanks for watching. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.